Hi, I'm Jeff Sipe, Division Manager of Rifles at Nosler. I'll bet you didn't know that Nosler's been making rifles since 2005. And what makes the Nosler rifle special is the Model 48 Action, a name given to it by the founding year of our company in 1948. The Action was designed by our team of engineers and ballistics lab professionals to be accurate and dependable even in the most extreme conditions. Because of the popularity of the Remington Model 700 bases, the Model 48 Action was designed to incorporate any two-piece Model 700 bases. So it gives our customers a variety of different options to use. The Model 48 trigger is actually a custom hand-tuned trigger. It's a mechanical trigger that's set at a crisp 3-pound trigger pull with a rocker style safety. So let's talk about blueprinting. Blueprinting is a term that's used in our industry along with a lot of other terms like squaring, truing, lapping. But basically what you're doing is you're lapping the raceways with the lugs, and you're lapping the lug engagements from the receiver, as well as truing the bolt face to the receiver face and truing the chamber to the barrel. And so what we do is we actually lap every single bolt into a specific receiver so that it's perfectly fitted, and then lap the lugs into the engagement of the receiver, squaring the bolt face to the barrel chamber area. So when you fire that round isn't going to cant to one side or move to one side. It's going to fire true every single time. A lot of people have asked us what the rail is inside the receiver along with the notch on the corresponding lug of the bolt. And what that is, it's an anti-bind rail. So basically, as the bolt's going through, it's feeding through that rail all the way through the receiver so that you don't get any major binding as the bolt is going through back or forth during the cycling. And so that basically helps guide the bolt all the way forward and back of the cycling of putting a cartridge into the chamber and extracting it all the way out. Each and every Model 48 Action goes through a proof testing process here at Nosler. And what a proof round is basically you take a specific cartridge and you take its maximum load that it's capable of loading, you add 15%. So what you're doing by that is when you fire that round, you're making sure that there's no setback of the lug inside the receiver, which lengthens the headspace. And what that's specifically designed for is in any type of an overpressure event that you know your action is going to be strong and safe to handle that. What the flutes are on the bolt is really for two purposes. Number one is cosmetics. Let's be honest. It looks cool, right? The second thing is it basically creates less friction for that bolt as it's moving through the receiver. So less catching or less binding. Well, it is true that control round feed actions have a more reliable extraction. And the reason being is because of the big, large claw extractor that is actually grabbing onto the rim of the case. But what our team of engineers did when they designed the Model 48 Action is they actually included what I would call a mini clock extractor into the Action, so you get a better, reliable extraction and feeding process of the cases. So while a control round feed is typically a little bit better when it comes to a large claw extractor, our Action has that mini claw extractor to give a better, reliable extraction. The large cutouts on the underside of the bolt are actually gas vents. So as you can see right here, there are these two large cutouts on the underside of the bolt. And what that does is if there's any type of catastrophic primer blow or anything happens inside the firing chamber, it's going to come through the firing pin itself, through the bolt body, and vent out through the magazine box so it doesn't come back in the shooter's face. One of the great features that we do on the Model 48 Action is that we actually put a micro slick coating on the firing pin itself and the spring around the firing pin. And we do that so that you don't need to add any type of lubricant. And what that does is it allows it to be able to freely move at any temperature, any type of elements without using lubrication. And where that's important is in extreme cold temperatures, like -degree temperatures, lubricants will actually freeze that firing pin, so lock this like a piece of ice, and no matter how many times you pull that trigger, it won't fire. So by having that microslick with no lubricants, you're able to use this firearm in any type of environment. So our team of engineers, when they were designing the bolt and firing pin assembly, designed a unique aspect to be able to take the firing pin assembly out of the bolt without using tools. So with a quick turn, you're able to pull that firing pin assembly completely out of the bolt for any type of cleaning. So if you've ever been in a situation where you've dropped your rifle in the mud or the snow or anything like that, you're able to quickly pull that out, clean it, put it back in, and keep going while you're in the field. When it comes to the strength of the bolt, our bolts are actually stronger than the majority of the actions today, which is pretty strong considering the majority of the actions in the market today are under 40, so they're typically somewhere around 37 to 39, whereas our bolts are heat treated to right around 45 to 46 Rockwell, and the receivers are heat treated to right around 42, 43 Rockwell. So they're a lot stronger than the majority of the receivers out today. Each Model 48 action is individually lapped. So when we fit a specific bolt to the receiver, it's not a one size fits all where you actually just take any bolt and put it into another receiver. Each specific bolt is hand lapped and hand fitted to that specific receiver. A lot of people ask us about lock time, and what lock time means is basically the time from when you pull the trigger until that firing pin hits the primer. So the faster the lock time, the more accurate your rifle is going to be. So what we have is we have a industry-leading 20-pound firing pin spring that gives you a quicker, faster lock time so that when you pull your trigger, it's going to hit that primer and ignite the cartridge faster than anything else in the market. So that basically what happens is when you pull that trigger, you're pulling your barrel down. The faster the lock time, the faster that's going to go out before you pull your barrel down. Each and every Nosler rifle comes with a complete protection in that every single part of the steel of the rifle, from the barrel to the action and every part inside, is completely 100% Cerakoted. And what Cerakote does is it protects your steel against rusting from the elements. So one thing that most people don't know is that stainless steel will actually rust just like chromoly will, but it will rust in areas like salt water much faster. So by having the Cerakote, you're basically protecting your steel from any type of elements. Some of the unique safety features on the Model 48 action include the gas vents inside the front receiver, as well as the vents on the bottom side of the bolt itself. And then on the trigger, when you put your safety on, you're basically disengaging the trigger from the sear, so there's no possible way that you can ignite that primer.